both of you and your families to ensure the fitness to serve of any nominee for in any of the committees that I sit on. I have the following two initial questions, so I will ask them of you. We'll start with Mr. Cole, and then Mr. Serrato, you can answer. Since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
No, Senator.
No, Senator.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement related to this kind of conduct?
No, Senator.
No, Senator.
The Trump administration has pushed the Marshals Service and DEA agents to assist with immigration actions. Obvious mission drift for these important agencies. Marshals should be focused on judicial security, as you noted, Mr. Serrato, apprehending fugitives and executing federal court orders. The DEA should be focused on fentanyl and the overdose crisis, as you indicated as a priority.
This dialogue takes place within the context of a Senate hearing where nominees are being questioned regarding their qualifications and the policies they would oversee if confirmed for their respective roles. In this case, the questions primarily focus on the responsibilities of two key law enforcement agencies, the U.S. Marshals Service and the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA. The hearing aims to assess the nominees' fitness for public office, their ability to handle the complex issues associated with their duties, and their approach to current challenges facing law enforcement in the USA. A prominent theme throughout the hearing is the allocation of resources and the potential diversion of these resources from core law enforcement missions. Both the U.S. Marshals Service and the DEA are traditionally tasked with very specific responsibilities, such as protecting federal judges, apprehending fugitives, and combating drug trafficking, yet there are concerns about the increasing demands being placed on these agencies, particularly in the context of immigration enforcement. These agencies have been asked to assist in enforcing immigration laws, even though such duties are not typically part of their core missions.
Mr. Serrato, are you concerned about stretching already limited resources and possibly thousands of your employees taking early retirement away from judicial security, where the threats are increasing against judges and apprehending fugitives?
Senator, we'll never stop focusing on the threats to judges. That is our top priority and our primary mission and role. That being said, the Marshal Service have always had a footprint in immigration. We produce prisoners that have holds from our federal partners, and we deal with them at all times. In my district, I can tell you, we have focused our efforts on violent criminals.
So any immigration aspects to it, the Marshal Service is not responsible for apprehending or helping to apprehend what I would call low-level nonviolent immigration violators. Is that so?
That is not our usual mission.
Yes. So, meanwhile, do you have a concern about your having the resources that you need in view of the offer to 5,000 of your employees that they should take retirement? Do you have a concern about resources? I know that my colleague, Senator Durbin, asked you about that.
Senator, in my district, it had no impact. I need to look into it if I'm confirmed. I need to look into it nationwide, but in my district, it has not had an impact at all.
I think that the day is young for that, because the fact of the matter is that we have an administration that is really decimating so many programs and offices, including, for example, Social Security office, where millions of Americans rely on the services that the questions answered relating to Social Security, and those kinds of customer service elements are being cut dramatically. So this is happening to every single department except for the DOD. Okay, Mr. Cole, similarly, I've heard about how important DEA programs like the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Program is for local partners, yet under this administration, they are putting DEA agents from programs like this and instead having them help arrest low-level immigration offenses. How does this diversion of resources help us fight drugs in our communities?
The Senate members are probing how these agencies can balance their original mandates while addressing these new challenges. One of the most pressing concerns raised by the senators is whether the U.S Marshals and the DEA have sufficient resources to fulfill their duties effectively. For example, there is mention of early retirement offers made to thousands of employees, which could further strain the agency's ability to carry out essential work, such as ensuring judicial security in a time of rising threats against federal judges and tracking down violent criminals. In particular, Senator Durbin raises the question of whether these resource constraints will hamper the agency's effectiveness, considering the increasing number of violent crimes and the growing opioid crisis fueled by fentanyl. Another significant area of discussion is the issue of international cooperation, particularly between the United States and Mexico in tackling the fentanyl epidemic. The senators challenged the nominees on how they plan to address the cross-border drug trade, especially given the tensions and the political complexities surrounding U.S. Mexico relations. There is a specific inquiry into the nominees' views on Mexico's capacity to handle its own internal security issues, particularly in relation to the drug cartels that are believed to control much of the trafficking operations that feed into the U.S. opioid crisis. In addition to these policy issues, the senators ask the nominees to address matters related to personal conduct, specifically whether they have ever been involved in inappropriate behavior such as sexual harassment or assault. These questions are standard in confirmation hearings, as they ensure that individuals appointed to high-level government positions have the ethical standards required for public service.
Senator, thank you for your question. I'm not currently at DEA, but I do understand your question. I do understand that DEA has been given Title VIII authority to help and assist ICE ERO, but I would like to point out recently the raid that occurred in Colorado Springs with DEA, along with all the federal agencies. Although it was an immigration, it produced TDA members, it produced MS-13 members, crime and criminal elements were taken into custody, drugs were seized, weapons were found. I anticipate that type of push into the violent criminal illegals if we are asked to assist under our Title VIII.
So, well, I think that we do expect the DEA to go after the violent criminals, but that is not necessarily what is happening as far as I understand. And considering that, for example, you have said certain things about Mexico, that it is a failed state and that the cartels pretty much control what's happening in Mexico. And how do you intend to work with the government of Mexico with those kinds of views as to their capacity to assist in the fentanyl crisis?
So, Senator, as I pointed out earlier, the new security director is a friend of the United States. Omar Hafouch is somebody who is willing to work with the United States. He has made, in a short amount of time, significant seizures in reference to fentanyl, in reference to methamphetamine. So I am encouraged, not only by his work, but his appointment to be the head of security for Mexico.
Senator Moody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Overall, this exchange touches on a wide range of issues, from resource management and agency mission priorities to international diplomacy and ethical standards. It highlights the delicate balance between fulfilling core responsibilities and adapting to shifting political and social demands, while also addressing critical public safety concerns, particularly in the face of the opioid epidemic and other national security threats. The nominees' responses to these questions will likely play a key role in determining their fitness for office and their ability to lead in these challenging times.